Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome into another edition of the Sox On Tap Postgame Show. It's Tony Marchese alongside Bez Beyond the Pen. Bez, this is our second postgame show that we've done now. This is the second week in a row we've done it, and kind of enjoyed the last one. It had more of a winning feel to it than tonight's will. But regardless, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, had a nice night besides the Sox loss. Caught up with an old friend and actually talked a lot of White Sox. But yeah, I would like to have gotten that one win that I wanted in New York so that we #don't get swept. So it all comes down to tomorrow.
Yes, it does, because the White Sox fell yesterday in a very ugly ball game by a final score of 12-2. That one was not enjoyable, and tonight's really got away from us as well. Sox fall by a 10-5 final in this one. Bez, we're going to just kind of roll through this game here and get pretty much right down to business. Yankees come out of the gate pretty hot here. 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the second, and the people were screaming about your guy, Anthony Kay. It was not the best start for him. I thought, we're going to have clunkers. It's Yankee Stadium. We want to talk about, some of these Mickey Mouse home runs. I just think that this team overall, my sort of opening to this is the theme would be that this team plays a lot different than they do on the road than they do at home. It's kind of become a concerning pattern. The pitching just looks a lot different on the road. I don't know if this is a mentality thing. I don't know, if it's just a comfortability thing. You saw Davis Martin yesterday sort of struggle, and then Anthony Kay comes out today. Only goes 4 innings, Bez. He does give up those 4 runs in the first and the second, and then gets chased out of here in the after the fourth. But Bez, Anthony Kay, it was a tough day for him. You would have liked to have seen a little bit more length. He did finish the night, I believe, at around 86 pitches. Probably could have gone a little more, but they were hitting the ball off of Anthony Kay tonight.
Yeah, they were. And that Bellinger home run in the first inning, 2-run shot to right, little Yankee Stadium luck there that had an expected batting average of .070. So that's unfortunate. But it happens. It happens in Yankee Stadium. And, Kay, he's got some interesting stuff. He throws a lot of different pitches. The problem is he goes deep into a lot of counts. The pitch count gets high pretty quick. And, he doesn't give you the length that you'd like. That's really been my only criticism of him. Otherwise, for the most part, he's been what I've expected. I'm not sure Sox fans get really up in arms about his performances online. They get #mad online. But we did not sign like a number 2 starter here or a number 1 starter. Like, this was a guy to be, stabilize the middle, the back end of the rotation. And for the most part, he's done that. So tough start. This is a good lineup. A little unlucky there with Bellinger. And you just I don't want to say flush it. We're not in 2024, but you just move on to the next one and hope for a better start out of him. He's been up and down all year, and that's probably what we're going to continue to see.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And we got a comment coming in from Michael here. Here's the big issue. Getz brought in these terrible starting pitchers and Fetty, Kay, etc., expecting to lose 90 games and 8 innings, not expecting to be a decent product. Now we're stuck in a bad spot. Thanks for the comment, Mike. I don't know if Kay really falls into that, but I do know that they went out there and tried to get guys that were going to eat innings. I think the intention might have been more, hey, let's give these guys to Bryant Bannister, see what he can do with them. I went into this season expecting that some of these guys would have been trade pieces at the deadline to go acquire more prospects.
Right.
I think that was sort of the intention. I kind of get the whole, I don't think anybody was expecting this team to be tied in first place. Cleveland lost again tonight. So, we do hold on to that first place tie right now, despite what has been an ugly 2 games in New York. I'm not having any fun watching them, and I don't think any White Sox fan is. But I do think that there is going to be a need for starting pitching at the deadline, Bez. I don't think that's going to be an easy price to pay. There's been a lot of back and forth online. I know you're involved in some different trade discussions over there on your X page, but they definitely need to do something to help shore up this rotation. You still have the injury to Noah Schultz right now. Expect we see him back soon. Just started his rehab assignment. Bad news out of AAA Charlotte. Hagen Smith is going to be shut down for, I believe, 2 weeks, and then is going to have like a 2-week evaluation period. Don't like to hear that. That was a guy that was pretty much at least rumored to start potentially a game against the Los Angeles Dodgers had there not been a rainout for Game 3 against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, that was the word on the street, was that Hagen Smith was going to make his big league debut at home in front of a packed crowd against the Dodgers. So, they're running out of really viable options here, Bez, in terms of plugging holes internally.
Yeah. And to the comments point, look at the pitching overall. The home road splits are very bad. But overall, when you look at their rankings in Major League Baseball amongst all the teams, they're kind of falling right in the middle. So the pitching definitely needs help. I'm not discounting that in any way. But overall, I feel like we all need to slow down a little bit, zoom out, look at those, look at where they fall in the standings in terms of pitching stats for teams, and they're overall have been average. There's a handful of guys doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. I get that. But I also am not sure on the whole Getz, was planning on losing 90 games and, he just got guys to fill in. I think it was more so about getting guys who were kind of placeholders for your big time prospects. You had Tanner McDougal, you had Hagen Smith, you had Noah Schultz, 3 top 100 prospects who are knocking on the door. Schultz comes up relatively pretty early in the season, and then he gets hurt, and he was, not very good, let's be honest. And like you said about Hagen Smith, now he's on the shelf. Tanner McDougal, same thing. He's struggling through injuries. So I think the rotation was kind of constructed with those guys coming up in mind, and they've gotten hit by the injury bug. So that's been pretty unfortunate overall.
Yes, it has. And Bez, we can discuss this more as we get closer to the trade deadline, but it's going to be interesting to see how Chris Getz goes about navigating getting these innings for the second half. I'm not sure everybody's exactly confident in, the back end of this rotation's options. You also had another starting pitcher was with this team. Shane Smith has been on the shelf as well, and he wasn't good. You've seen Jonathan Cannon sort of fall out of favor with this team as well due to his play. So, like I said, not a lot of internal options. We'll see how Chris Getz addresses this, but something's going to have to be done if they want to remain in the race, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Sox come back in the third inning and make this a ball game, and it was courtesy of Colson, Montgomery, going yard. I had just sent something in the group chat. I'm like, the Sox should take advantage of that short porch over there and right. And I don't think it was a cheapie that Colson hit, but
no.
Nonetheless, 3-run bomb right back in the game. I was feeling pretty good at that point.
Yeah. He keeps coming through despite the very bizarre criticism coming his way throughout the year so far. But I'm very happy that Colson Montgomery is on the White Sox and has turned out to be the player that he was after things weren't looking good last year. But yeah, he got them right back into this game with a bomb. He hit one later in the game as well, in garbage time, but nevertheless, it was his first career multi-homer game. and he has now 40 home runs in his first 140 career games, and he's gotten there faster than any other White Sox player. Granted, if Murakami gets a big chunk of the second half back, he could he'll he looks like he'll probably shatter that. But yeah, it was great to see him light up the scoreboard, even though we don't get fireworks on the road.
Yeah, we don't get fireworks on the road. Would have been nice for his first multi-home run game to come at home and not in a 10-5 loss to the New York Yankees where everybody's sort of mad online about what's going on here. Hey, that's just about it for your Chicago White Sox offense. They do tack on another one in the ninth inning. Sam Antonacci also hits one out into right field into the seats. Like to see that again, garbage time home run, but just seeing Sam find the power stroke a little bit. That's good. One more note on Colson's first home run, as you talked about some of the criticism that he gets. This came against Carlos Rodon. You got a lefty on lefty matchup there, 2 on, 2 out. That's, you're down by 4 runs.
That's clutch time.
On. That's a clutch home run. Let's call it what it is. That's a clutch home run. Get your team back in the ball game. Unfortunately, what happens in the 5th inning was not great, Baz. Not great at all. Sean Newcomb comes into the ball game, relieving Anthony Kay, and he does give up 3 hits in this one, 3 runs. There's a home run from a guy that you asked us, is he a potential Hall of Famer? Paul Goldschmidt puts one right into the corner. I think they said that this thing went 349. I'm calling BS on that. That thing barely got over the wall. It was almost as Mickey Mouse as the Cody Bellinger homer that we talked about in the first inning there. We've been watching the replay right before the show, Baz. Did that thing go 349?
It looked pretty weak. It did not look like, it was in the 3rd row, pretty much right down the foul line. I don't know how that went 349. StatCast says it would have been a homer in 20 out of 30 parks. I don't know how, but the numbers apparently don't lie, and they spell disaster for the White Sox. So that pretty much blew it open at that point. They were down 3-6, and now it's 9-3, and the rout was on after that. So that was the backbreaker. And to add insult to injury, or injury to insult, Sean Newcomb takes one off the tricep, and the White Sox announced via their Twitter page that he's day-to-day. So that's a bummer there too, because he's been one of the most reliable one of the most reliable relievers in our bullpen. So pretty unfortunate there on top of the homer to have him potentially missing. Hopefully not an extended period of time, but.
Yeah, hopefully not. He has been. He's sitting there right now. I don't think this is updated yet on Baseball Reference. It's got him at a 2.16 ERA. I'll go back over here. I believe after today's little debacle, that's up to a 2.76, Bez. But yeah, he's worked a lot of innings. He's already got 41 2/3 innings on the season. He has only given up 2 home runs now when you add in the Paul Goldschmidt homer. He's been very effective, Baz. Very, very effective.
Yeah.
He had that spot start the other day. That looked really solid. And then you hate to see any pitcher leave the game after a comeback or took 2 warm-up pitches. And that's a little disheartening. I don't like losing a potential bullpen arm, especially day-to-day. Baz, am I going to get a tweet on my timeline tomorrow that they are playing a man down?
Absolutely. A little bit different when you're playing a man down in the bullpen, because you got 8 guys. Now you have 7. It's a lot funner when you're playing a man down on the position side, because you've only got 4 and then you've got 3. So, and one of them's the catcher. So that's always fun. But, that was malpractice, organizational malpractice by the White Sox for playing a man down for many, many years until this year. Now it's a viable strategy. But nevertheless, I'll tweet it. We'll see what happens.
I just wanted to know if I can expect that tomorrow on the timeline. Love it. You know, game got out of hand there. Sox weren't able to answer anything in the eighth. The Yankees did tack on another run in the seventh. We did get a clean inning out of Brandon Eisert, though, tonight. He looked good and has looked better than what White Sox fans were saying about Brandon Eisert at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about him. I feel like we're going to see potential regression at some point, but such is the life of a major league reliever, Bez.
Yep.
And then Richards works the final 2 innings of this one. Outside of that, man, it was just sort of another beatdown. You know, those other 2 runs come in the final 2 innings, both off of solo home runs. Not much doing. I don't really even want to tip the cap, really, to Yankees pitching. They pretty much touched everybody up except for Hedrick, and I think this one is squarely on the pitching and defense, man. You can't give up 5 runs, 2 innings after you make it a 1-run ball game. That's going to lose you a lot of ball games, and it's not a recipe for success. So at that point, I didn't want to say it was over, but
it felt over.
It felt over. This White Sox team has been in a lot of games after going down. This just felt, for like one of the first times outside of yesterday, it felt insurmountable when they just, sort of put on the gas and the offense starts moving for the Yankees. And that's a lineup right now that's missing Giancarlo Stanton. It's missing Aaron Judge.
Yep.
I'm a little nervous to go on the road. If this team's a playoff team, to go on the road to somewhere like Yankee Stadium and re-witness something like this. I know there's a lot to do before now and October, but I did not have a comfortable feeling in these first 2 games at all.
No, it's and when you mentioned the players that they're out of their lineup right now, I felt a little bit better going into this series, knowing that Arson was out and that Stanton was out, and that felt like that gave us a little bit of improved our odds. Let's just call it that. But no such luck. And to your point about playoff teams, I mean, you open the season. Granted, the White Sox are a much different team than what we saw the first series of the season against Milwaukee, but they got blown out in that series and swept. And 2 games in New York, again, blown out in both of those. So they've had some rough road series against some playoff caliber teams. Granted, they took 2 of 3 in Arizona. They took 2 of 3 in San Diego. Those are, potential playoff teams. So I don't want to.
They did have a good trip out west.
They did.
They did have a good trip out west. East Coast, Central has not treated them well.
No, it hasn't. So yeah, I mean, it's not something I'm overly concerned about. I mean, going into this game, I tweeted it out earlier today that since they started the season 1-5 on the road, they're 13-16, and not that that's good by any means, but much different ball club. So it's something to keep an eye on, but not something I'm overly concerned about yet, because even good teams usually play around 500 ball at home, or excuse me, on the road, and then dominate at home. And the White Sox can hopefully get back to 500 on the road. You got Detroit coming up here next. Of course, Skubal makes his return, of course, just in time. But hopefully,
there's rumors that we're getting Justin Verlander too.
We're getting Skubal. Who's the second guy? I can't remember who it is. And then Sunday we're getting Old Man Verlander. So it'll be interesting. But that's
it'll be Melton. It'll be Melton on Saturday for the Tigers. And,
that's one
he's 3-0 with a 2.81 ERA. So that's no slouch right there.
No, you got to find a way to take that one, because then you come home for a big homestand.
Yes, very big homestand. Bez, let's look a little bit into the future, as we already are, and talk about tomorrow's ball game, the series finale. Sox got to salvage this one so they #don't get swept. It'll be Sean Burke on the mound. He's 3-4 with a 4.15 ERA up against Weathers. What's interesting about this one, Bez, There's only two hitters in the White Sox lineup that have seen weathers. That's Randall Grichuk, and he's had only 5 at-bats against him, and then Miguel Vargas has taken 1. And then on the Yankees side, they really haven't seen Sean Burke. Caballero has had 1 plate appearance against him, and that was a walk. And I think I'm going to butcher this name. Schumann has had 2 at-bats and has not reached base. Everybody else in this Yankees lineup tomorrow has not seen Sean Burke. So neither of these ball clubs have seen their opponent very well, at least firsthand.
So hopefully we see a low-scoring game, because I feel the Yankees have been hitting the shit out of the ball and scoring a lot of runs. So if we can keep them off the board, obviously that gives us a better chance. Sean Burke, it's hard to have any expectation of him from start to start, because when he's on, he looks dominant. When he's not, he's all over the place. So hopefully, he can avoid a big inning. We've given up some big crooked numbers in this series, and hopefully he can keep them at bay and use a little unfamiliarity from the Yankees hitters to his advantage. So that's it. I'm putting this on Sean Burke. We need a solid start with, as Steven would say, 18 outs, and hopefully get out of here without getting swept.
Yes, that's the key here. And another thing that Steven would say in this one, they need to hashtag set the tone and score a bunch of runs early tomorrow is what I'm hoping to see in this one. I don't want to be, 2-1 ball game, 3-1 ball game. I'd like at least a 3-4 run lead by the time we enter the 4th or 5th inning. Get out there, set the tone, put up a crooked number, and at least give Burke something to work with. Like today, you have a 4-run deficit. Colson gets out there and puts it in reach at a 1-run ball game. But when you're K, that doesn't really give you much to work with there, especially against a pretty potent Yankees lineup with a short porch. It was a recipe for disaster. So I would get out there and score some runs early. That's going to be key. Give Burke something to work with. You're going to definitely be down Sean Newcomb tomorrow. You won't see him. The good news for the White Sox is you really haven't used your bullpen A guys in this series so far, so they're going to be a little rested. You probably see some Grant Taylor tomorrow. I don't know if you want to consider Sir Anthony, or Tony Dominguez. I think it's sort of a wild card there on whether or not he's one of your A guys, but he's paid like 1. So he could see some action tomorrow. Those guys will be a little rested.
Some Brian Hudson action.
Brian Hudson has also been a guy that hasn't really sniffed much yet on this road trip. So, hey, those guys are going to be as fresh as they can be in this scenario. Give them a lead to work with, and I think we can get out of here with a win.
Please. We need it. We need to somehow, win this game. If you can take 2 out of 3 in the in Detroit and walk away 500 from this road trip, I would absolutely count that as a win. So don't get swept and don't get hurt. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt.
Yes. 2 injuries today. I don't think we've got any word on Everson yet. I don't know. I haven't looked at the timeline, but
I think they
up there after what was an amazing catch. Pretty shaken up there, but I guess my guess is we will not see him in the lineup tomorrow.
Probably not.
And we might be playing 2 men down, Bez.
Ooh.
About it. Could they be playing 2 men down?
That's we will. I will work to confirm.
All right. Reach out to Multiple Sauces. Get back to me on that, and everybody who's listening. Guys, that's just about going to do it for today's post-game show. Thanks you to everybody who joined in. This was Sox on Tap, episode 15. Not having a good time in New York, Bez. Any final thoughts before we close this down?
One last time, don't get swept.
All right. I echo that sentiment. Make sure you're following the show at Sox on Tap on X. You can follow me at Tony on Tap. You can follow Bez at Bez Beyond the Pen. And make sure you're going to ontapsportsnet.com for all of your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. That'll do it for us here on the Postgame Show. White Sox forever.
White Sox forever.